Well, welcome back everybody to the Drought-Crops Update Weekly for the week ending 10/23/2022. I've been away for a couple of weeks, so there's been a lot happening out there. Let's go check and see what's happening today. So we'll first go to the firms USA Canada, where we're looking at the current fire situation, and you can see there still shows quite a few fires up here in the northwest part of the country, and we have been following this fire right here, which is the Moose Fire. And it is showing right now 80% contained. If we zoom into that location, and we can see the burn, there's no active burns around any of these fires, either the Moose or the ones surrounding it. If we go to the imagery, we'll look at Modus Aqua. The Modus Terra is getting some adjustments in orbital path and satellite resolution type things, and so the Aqua is available right now, but it's cloud cover. So can't see much. You can see some ground through there. Don't know if these things are emanating any smoke or not. If we zoom out and move to the west a little bit, look at some of these fires in Washington and Oregon. This one up here, we can see a wisp of smoke coming out. That is the Minnow Ridge. So that still has smoke, maybe a little bit of smoke coming down to the southeast of these fires burning here in central Washington. The Palouse looks pretty open today. Some clouds in the eastern part of the state getting toward the Rocky Mountains in Idaho. The Yellowstone region completely under cloud right now, probably snowing over there as well. And then in the eastern part of Wyoming up through the northwestern part of South Dakota is a heavy storm band and cloud band, and the forecast was for snow. Rapid City is sitting right on the edge of where these clouds are. So right now outside it's partly cloudy. We're just a little bit between the clouds and the total overcast, but it is snowing in this area. The Bighorn Mountains are snowing right now. We'll take a look at that here in a second. But other than that, things look to be pretty good. The fire situation, even though there are fires burning, the smoke inundation seems to have abated for this current season. If we look at the GO satellite right now, this is the west, and you can see this storm system again that's inundating my part of the country. So most all of Wyoming is covered. Looks like these things are trending north right now through the central north part of the U.S., and then broken clouds all through the west. There is a storm coming on shore down here in Baja. A small, I guess it's a cyclone. And here is Granite Pass up in the Bighorn Mountains in Wyoming. This is US Highway 14. This image is probably about 10 minutes old, but it is snowing. It doesn't look to be like a lot of snow right now. There might be some, this could be a good foot or more up here in the trees, so it has snowed over the past few weeks up there. And they are starting to get into the snow season, so that's good to see. We have had snow here at my house once about 2 weeks ago. Snowed for about 10 or 15 minutes. No accumulation yet. Okay, so let's jump to drought. Right now, according to the drought.gov, about 50% of the lower U.S. is in drought conditions, and that it's affecting about 373 million acres and 135 million people. 43 states are experiencing moderate drought or worse. So if we go to the slider index here, we're looking at an image from October 11, and as I slide this bar to the left, it will come to October 18, which is the most recent date of this, and not much of a change. What we're going to see primarily is up here in central Montana, this exceptional drought is going to fill in with red in between here, and then there's an area down in either southern Nebraska or Kansas that has a little slight extension of the deep reds as well. Other than that, everything is going to hold pretty constant through here. Not saying that this is good. It's just that things have not changed that much. So areas that are dry continue to be dry. Areas that are a little bit wetter are staying that way. So there's not much difference in the drought over this past week. Okay, jumping over to Vedscape and looking at the NDVI values. Again, NDVI is a satellite-derived product using the red and the near infrared bands, and it is an indication of plant health or vegetative growth. And so it is reflecting by the color in here the status of the surface of the ground. And so the deeper the greens, the more vigorous and more chlorophyll activity there are in the leaves of the plants. And then as we get down to the yellows and the reds and oranges, then that just indicates low growth capacity. And so we could be looking at drought in terms of low growth, or it could be such an abundance of water that the plants are shutting down as well. So we see that in big rains. We saw that if we go back and look a couple weeks ago at Florida, the growth would have been suspended during that Hurricane Ian that went through that area. So what we want to look on here primarily is, I'm starting back on let me check the date up here to be sure. So here's the date. So this image we're looking at here is the end of the week, 9/19 to 9/25. Then we're going to go to 9/26 to 10/2, and then 10/3 to 10/9, which is the most current image. And so as we go through these 3 weeks, what we're going to take note of is that over here on the plains just to the east of the Rocky Mountains, we can see that the patterns are mostly this yellow and pale greens. So we're down in this realm in here, say 0.3 to 0.4, 0.5 for a value. And those are kind of low indicators, so not much vigorousness in growth. And that's really what we'd expect for crops in here. Now we're getting into the fall season. The plants are dying. They're going into their drying stage, and then they are harvested. And so as we go through these 3 weeks in here, we'll see that this kind of edge of the yellow and the light green is going to continue to progress eastward. And in fact, the harvest in the corn that's in these states in here is just getting underway here in the last week and 2 weeks. And that's a function of this NDVI that shows that the crops are drying down. So if we step through this, we'll go to the next week, and we can see that yellow extended further to the east and then really extended up in the end of 10/9. So again, if you start here, this is the end of September, like first week in October, second week in October. And again, corn harvest is well underway in this area. So we'll continue to watch that going through over the next few weeks. So if we look at soil moisture, right now we're looking at the soil moisture, and this is in units of cubic centimeters of water per cubic centimeter of soil in the upper surface layer. And so really what it does is just showing and kind of mirroring that drought page that we saw a few slides back. And so the central part of the U.S. then to the west is quite dry. And so this area looks like most of northwestern Nebraska, and then spotty areas in Kansas, over here in Idaho, up in North Dakota, are in this 0 to 0.05 cubic centimeters of water per cubic centimeter of soil, which is really dry. The wetter areas down here in Florida, down in the Gulf Coast of Louisiana, up in Michigan and Minnesota, in areas that are wet, over in the rainforest area on the Olympic Peninsula, they have high amounts of water per cubic centimeter of soil. So that's what it looks like for the soil moisture. In terms of what that is in the average, variations from the average, this is the soil moisture anomaly, where the darker the blue is the higher the percent of water in the soil now over the long-term average. So we see down here, very southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, West Texas, very dark blues. Again, a lot of monsoonal rains have been coming through here over the past few weeks, and it has been replenishing the soil moisture. Of course, down in most of the peninsula of Florida is high values of soil moisture anomaly as well. And then for the most of the country, especially through the central plains to the north all the way to the west coast, is very, very, very dry, to where large areas of the country in here are showing less than 70% below, or 70% below the normal soil moisture content at this time of the year. So very dry conditions persist. And again, we've been seeing that in the drought maps over the past several months. Okay, looking at the harvest conditions, this is corn crop. This goes up through October 16, so the middle of last week or the beginning of last week. And things are looking pretty good. Again, the curves on here, the solid line is the current harvest in 2022. The small dashed line or dotted line is the average of 2017 through 2021. And then the large dash up above is what it was last year in 2021. So you can see the corn harvest this year started out lagging all of the data since 17, and now has taken over the 17 to 21 average. And it was looking like, say, 45% of the harvest being completed now. Last year at this time, about 50% was being harvested, but it's coming on very strong and looking to progress very, very nicely. Okay, if we go look at cotton, another crop that's being currently harvested right here, and again, look at the curve, the solid line. This is this year. It is above everything on this slide that goes back to 2017. So 37% of the cotton is harvested now, and things are looking good there. Okay, jump over to tropical tidbits. We're looking at the GFS model. This is the current situation right here. And again, we saw on the GOES image those big storm systems, and they're moving, they're tracking up to the, around this low, moving up toward the north, slightly northwest. And as we move this through over the next few days, you see that system kind of clears out. That low moves up to the north, up into Canada. Heavy rain systems comes through central Texas and moves up through Oklahoma here in a couple of days. So this is late tomorrow, and it moves out, lingering heavy rains down there on that low pressure front. Snow in the Rockies, which is normal this time of year. And I'm watching my area again here in western South Dakota, and we are here just kind of continuing to be high and dry. Some scattered rain comes through. Wyoming, northern Colorado is getting snow. We're pretty much nothing in my part of the world. And let's extend this out until the 30th, 31st. And, not much. So some snow in Wyoming at the end of the month. Again, that's far enough out that it might happen, might not. Here's late in the day on October 31. Which shows like we could be getting some snow in here, so we'll have to just pay attention to that and see if that actually comes to pass. Okay, so that's the situation, what's going on with crops and drought conditions here in the U.S. For the past few weeks. Hopefully we'll be able to continue this next week if things calm down. I've been extremely busy at work and just simply haven't had time to make these videos the past few weeks, so I apologize for that, but I hope you enjoy this. Share this with your friends, give it a like. Thanks for watching. See you later.